If you haven't seen Jordan Peterson's blistering 1.5 hour takedown of Mark Carney, you're in for a wake-up call. In this video, we'll unpack his meticulously researched and thorough case on why Carney's a disaster for Canada. He's unelected, a globalist, and he's all set to tank our economy. Jordan's view is that he shouldn't be Prime Minister now, or in the upcoming election. Let's dive into it. Mark Carney's resume sparkles like a globalist trophy case. Harvard, Oxford, Bank of England. But don't be seduced by the shine. Peterson sees through the facade. Carney's book isn't a roadmap for Canada. It's a globalist manifesto that could doom our nation. Time's running out to unmask this elitist.
So he believes, for example, that the core Canadian values are fairness and equity, resilience and adaptability, sustainability and responsibility, and community and cooperation. Well, those are all terms that sound positive and that could, in principle, bring people together on the basis of a vision. Although Carney claims that those are core Canadian values, that claim is not correct. Those are core globalist, socialist, utopian, net zero promoting environmentalist values. But the core Canadian values are actually derived from the Judeo-Christian, Western, broadly Western, and English common law tradition.
Carney's not just a bureaucrat, he's betraying our roots. He dares to redefine Canadian values as some woke globalist fantasy. Peterson's all about to shred this lie, exposing Carney's agenda to erase our heritage for elite applause. With the election looming, we can't let this imposter rewrite who we are.
Carney's derivation of Canadian values, when the pedal hits the metal, let's say, or the rubber hits the road, the manner in which Carney translates his interpretation of Canadian values is the same manner that the radical leftists in the Democratic Party, for example, in the United States, translated the same value propositions. And that's to become an advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusivity, and to assume that human beings should be divided on the basis of their race and their sexual identity and their gender, etc., and that our culture is essentially oppressive at its core.
Folks, this isn't just about words. Carney's values are a dagger to Canada's heart. If he wins, our freedoms, our way of life, get swapped for globalist chains. The election's our last stand to stop this betrayal. Vote or we'll lose Canada forever. It's worse than betrayal. Carney's a power thief, unelected, unaccountable. He sees Canada's helm like a globalist pirate.
The globalist utopians like Carney are perfectly willing to say, well, we're going to have to pay a price in the moment because the situation is so dire, and even if the poor have to suffer right now, it's much less than the poor in 100 years would suffer if we didn't take action. And my response to that is, you're willing to sacrifice the actual poor now for your hypothetical poor in 100 years. And you're modeling those hypothetical poor with your economic and climate models, which are radically unstable. And you also believe, and this is absolutely delusional, that you have the economic and scientific wherewithal to do anything like a reasonable estimation of what the Earth's economy is going to be like in 100 years. Yeah, well, good luck on that front.
Peterson's furious, and so should you be. This elitist thinks he's all above us, strutting on the world stage while we're ignored. The vote's coming. Carney's not done with Trudeau's climate change agenda. He's obsessed with net zero, a green nightmare that'll choke Canada's soul. This isn't about saving the planet. It's globalist control. With the election ticking closer, Carney's eco-crusade could shackle us to elites forever.
And so he can do things like tell Canadians that he's dispensing with the carbon tax, which he hasn't done because it's still on the books and it's only a temporary pause, but he's still an avid advocate of net zero policies and believes, for example, and Canadians should very much listen to this, that 3/4 of the fossil fuel reserves in the world have to be left in the ground. Okay, and so he believes that we should approach net zero by the year 2050 and that it'll require a $2 trillion investment on the part of Canadians in order to make that happen.
Look, we can't stabilize the climate unless we get to net zero.
Net zero's no joke. It's Carney's weapon to quadruple our oil, our jobs, and our future. He'll tax us into oblivion for his elite buddies while China laughs. The elections are shot to say no. Vote to keep Canada strong, or we're done. Time's slipping away. Carney's globalism doesn't just steal our identity, it bankrupts us. Peterson's sounding the alarm. This man's policies will starve our families and kill our economy. The election is a way to voice your values and what you stand for. We're running out of time to save our kids' future.
We're lower than Mississippi. Canadians produce 60 cents of value for every dollar the Americans produce, despite the fact that 10 years ago, and that's before the Liberals were in power for a decade, Canada and the US were equal. We were at parity. Forecast for Canada's economic development, and this assumes something like the continuation of the policies that were put in place by the Trudeau Liberals, is that we will have the worst economic performance of the 40 most developed countries in the world for the next 4 decades.
This is personal. Carney's path means empty wallets. No future for our kids. We're staring down Canada's collapse if he wins. The election's now or never. Vote and fight back, or globalists like Carney will bury us.
So if you want more of that, much more expensive fossil fuel, much more expensive air conditioning and heat for your house in frigid Canada, and you want your children to live in a society that's radically poor so the globalist utopians can fail to do anything for the planet, then Carney's your man.
Jordan's right. Carney's a catastrophe Canada can't survive. Smash that thumbs up button to spread this truth to every Canadian on the fence. Subscribe for more wake-up calls like this. The election's now. Fight for Canada. I'm Glen Zacher, and it's your money.